Welcome back, everyone, to the Baseball Plays YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, and I'm back breaking down some more plays for the Tuesday night college basketball. Let's take a look at the plays that we had on Monday night first. I am recording at the half of Kansas State and Utah. 32-32 right now. K-State is tight in this game, dealing with some foul trouble. They're getting outshot at the free throw line. 13 made for Utah, 15 total attempts. 1 total made for K-State, 3 total attempts. So tie game, losing the free throw battle by 12 right now. I like my chances in the second half. They're playing well. They're playing physical. Utah's not making a ton of shots. Kansas State's actually been dropping down more shots than normal. So I think they will hold off, maybe even beat Utah in the second half. We have them plus 2.5. Other game just started 5-2 in favor of Arizona early 2 minutes in. We have that one plus 1.5. I think it jumped up to 2.5 right before the game. But we had the 1.5. I still think Arizona wins that game outright. Back-to-back losses. They're going to find a way to win this game against Baylor. Doug McDaniel, 8 points at the half. Had a couple missed threes, but, he needs 7 more points in the second half. Tight game. I think he will get there. And the other one, Jaden Bradley, over 4 assists is what it came out at. I don't think he has one yet. I think Love has one maybe, and then somebody else. Maybe he does. No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. It's 5-2. So, again, that game just started. So, hopefully, 3-1. I don't really want 2-2. I'll take 3-1 here after the really bad day on Sunday. But let's take a look at some plays for Tuesday. I try to touch on every conference, at least the major conferences for Tuesday. We do have a lot of games on Tuesday, but we're going to be breaking down 5 in total. We're going to start with Purdue going up against Michigan State. Fact is, Purdue is not a very good team. I've said that multiple times this season. They're coming off back-to-back losses, one on the road against Michigan, losing by 2 points, one at home, losing to Wisconsin by 10 points. However, that 10 points is a little bit skewed because they wouldn't stop fouling at the end of the game. Really, they lost that game by 4 to 6 points. But Michigan State going to be back at home. They coming off a really, really good win against Illinois. Illinois scored 2 points in the final 9 minutes of their game at home, honoring Terrence Shannon Jr. on banner night, flipped his jersey backwards on the reveal. Very embarrassing for Illinois, but Michigan State coming off a very dominant win, especially in the second half, going up against Illinois. The problem is they're going to run into Purdue here, going to be at home. I think Purdue wins this game outright. No way Purdue drops 3 in a row. We have seen them drop 2 in a row before. They've bounced back and won a big game. I think if they drop 3 here, that's really going to hurt their chances, not only for the Big Ten, but hurt their chances for seeding in the March Madness tournament. I think right now they are projected to be a 2 or 3 seed. I think a 3 seed in the March Madness tournament. If they lose this game, they might find themselves outside the top 20, just like Kansas found themselves at 23. So Purdue really needs to find a way to bounce back in this one. Michigan State, they've been pretty good over the season, 14th in general in the AP poll, but they have lost back-to-back games before this season. USC and UCLA got a bounce-back win against Oregon. Indiana lost. Illinois won. I just don't think Michigan State's that good of a team. This is 2 teams that are in the top 25 that really shouldn't be in the top 25. I'll take the points with Purdue on the back-to-back losses as the first play. Second play, Texas A&M going up against Mississippi State. Texas A&M is a very good team. Sometimes they get off to slow starts, just like we saw against Arkansas. Sometimes they stop scoring, just like we saw against Arkansas. I think they started that game against Arkansas down, I want to say it was 9-0. Found a way to get up by a couple points at halftime, found a way to get up by nearly 10 points in the second half, and then Arkansas came all the way back, tied the game, and then A&M in the last 4 minutes found a way to win that game. But Texas A&M is a very strange team this year. They go on these scoring droughts a lot like Mississippi State does. But Mississippi State did show a lot of talent in that last game going up against Ole Miss. 81 points in a win on the road, 81-71. I don't know if that's showing Ole Miss is worse than they are, or Mississippi State had a really good game bounce back and forth because they have been playing really tough opponents over the last several games. I'm going to take A&M in this one. Feels like too many points. If it was like 1.5, I might go with Mississippi State, but I think it's going to be a possession game. I do think Mississippi State at home will find a way to win, but we're going A&M here with the points plus 3.5. Next play of the day, KU going up against Baylor. I have gone back and forth on this Jayhawks team. I told you I was going to bench them after the Kansas State game, and I'm going to bench them after the Kansas State game. KU this season, though, if I'm going to just talk to you really quick, KU this season lost against Mizzou, won against NC State. Lost against Iowa State, beat Kansas State. Lost against Houston, beat UCF. Lost against Baylor, beat Iowa State. Lost against K-State, beat Colorado. Lost against Utah. This is the trend that we've been seeing. After a Kansas loss, they typically bounce back and win. That's the old KU. I mean, that's what we've seen from KU for the last 20 years. This season, it's not changed, but they've been going up against some pretty bad opponents after their losses, and they really haven't been beating them by that much. They beat Colorado by 12. They beat Iowa State pretty handily. That was a rematch against Iowa State. They were owed. I mean, they were going to win that game regardless, and that was whenever Iowa State went on that 3-game losing streak. They beat UCF at home by 4 points, almost lost that game. So this is just not a very good Kansas team. They've got all the talent in the world. Bill Self not doing a great coaching job this season. I know he's a Hall of Fame coach, but it's just not there. Hunter Dickinson on the floor for almost the entire game is a very, very poor mistake for Bill Self. So hopefully things do change up by March Madness, but they're on my bench for a reason. I'm taking BYU here on the money line. Kansas going to drop back-to-back games. Usually does not happen, but I told you I was going to bench KU, so BYU is going to be the play on the money line there. Next play, Illinois going up against Wisconsin. Wisconsin getting a really good win going up against Purdue. That was on the road. That's back-to-back road games for them that they've won, going up against Iowa and then Purdue. Going to be back at home in this one. I'm going to lay the number -4. Usually, you can't lay points with Wisconsin over the last few years, but this year, Wisconsin's putting up 80-plus points per game. I mean, them scoring 90-plus points in that Purdue game, even the announcers were like, this would be unheard of a couple years ago for this Wisconsin team. They'd score 65 points in a game, try to play defense and win that game. But this year, they're putting up a lot of points. Illinois, coming off that devastating loss against Michigan State, had that game up by 10, I think it was, and then losing by 16 or 18, whatever the final score was. That's got to be tough for them, losing that game. Now they got to go on the road in Madison. Tough environment here. I'm going to take Wisconsin here, laying the number -4 as the play. Next play, I put it up here because I wanted to give the Big East some sort of credit for playing on Tuesday night. We are going to watch Villanova and UConn as well on Tuesday night, but that's going to be a member pick for the other side. But we're going to look at Seton Hall going up against Marquette. It's 18.5 points. It's too many. It's just too many points. Seton Hall had lost 9 consecutive games, and then at home in overtime, they beat the UConn Huskies, one of the better teams in the Big East, one of the better teams over the last 2 years in college basketball, winning back-to-back titles. I can't explain it. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened, but 18.5 points here is too many. Going up against Marquette, they have lost by 18 before over the last 5 games, never lost by 19 over the last 5 games. They are going to lose this game, most likely. I'd put my life on them losing this game going up against Marquette on the road, but 18.5 points, that's just too many in my opinion. Marquette's lost 3 of the last 4 games. It's not like they're playing incredibly on the offensive side, so Seton Hall will get some stops in this game. They're just probably not going to score over 65 points. Seton Hall's not a very good scoring team this season. They got to hold the Marquette to 80 points or less. I think they can cover the spread here. So I'm going to take them here, plus 18.5 as the final play of the day. Let's go take a look at the player props for tomorrow, though. We're going to start with that Wisconsin game. John Tonji to go over his total points. 17.5, I'm hoping, but we might see 18.5, maybe even 19.5 with the way this guy's been playing over the last several games. 32 points going up against Purdue. He went 8 of 9 from the free throw line. I personally watched 6 of those at the end of the game, why Wisconsin kind of pulled away, winning by 10 instead of 4 because Purdue just kept on fouling. But Tonji has now gone to the free throw line 19 times over the last 2 games. Caught my attention. He's been playing well, 20-plus points in 6 of the last 7 games he's been in. This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think, against Illinois. Illinois can put on the points. Illinois does not play any defense whatsoever. I'm going to take his over 18.5, 17.5 points as the first play of the day. Second play of the day, we are going to go to Purdue going up against Michigan State. Another guy who in that Illinois game played extremely well, but Purdue could not get him the win, mainly because Smith had a horrible performance in that game. But we're going with Trey Kaufman-Renn to go over his total points. 18.5 is the guess on this one going up against Michigan State. Michigan State a decent defense this season, but I think he will dominate down low in the paint. Trey Kaufman, he hasn't attempted a 3, only a couple threes this season, I should say. So he is going to be living inside that 3-point line, and I think he will dominate down low. Over the last 2 games, 35 shot attempts, 23 makes. His percentages have been incredible over the last couple of games. He shot over 50% in 6 consecutive games, 30-plus points in the last one, 22, 24, 25, 23. You just can't shut this guy down. And I even saw some double teams in that last game going up against Illinois. So I do think he's going to dominate in this one going up against Michigan State. Michigan State, they did give up a lot of points to Illinois in that first half. Maybe Purdue figures something out in the first half and he just goes off. But I like him in this one over the total points going up against Michigan State. They definitely need him to play well in order to win this game. So I'm going with the over total points as the second play for the final play today. Rebounds. Mississippi State going up against Texas A&M. We're going to take the rebounding machine for Mississippi State, Keyshawn Murphy, 7.5 rebounds on the season per game. He's been having some trouble staying on the floor because he gets himself into foul trouble, but whenever he doesn't get himself into foul trouble, we usually see between 28 and 32 minutes. That's probably what we're going to need in this game for him to get that. Sorry, I got a weather report on my phone, 12 to 16 inches of snow tonight, so that won't be a problem whatsoever for a town that usually gets like a light dusting every 3 years. So that's not going to be a problem whatsoever for anybody here. Back to the rebounds, though. 8+ rebounds in 4 consecutive games. Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, Missouri. I like the rebounds in this one because Texas A&M is probably going to have some problems down low. They do have a decent rebounder, but the biggest or the highest total of rebounds per game for that A&M squad is 5. So they've got a little bit of a height disadvantage in this one going up against Mississippi State. I do think the guards, Taylor and Zurich Phelps, are just going to be too much for Mississippi State to handle. But I do think with A&M shooting a little bit poorly this season, I think they're at 42%, maybe even 41% on this season. I do think there's going to be a lot of defensive rebounds, potentially offensive rebounds in this game for Keyshawn Murphy to clean up. Just have to keep him on the floor. Not a lot of foul trouble. He's going to go way over the number here. 7.5 rebounds, 6.5 rebounds if we're lucky, as my guess. But that's going to be the final play of the day. Let's go to the recap graphic for tomorrow. Got a lot of games, 5 games, 3 player props. Let's try to do something. Let's try to do something with these games. Purdue plus 3.5 on the road against Michigan State. Wisconsin -4 at home. Lay the number. A&M with the points on the road against Mississippi State. BYU on the money line. I might not bet that one. I might not bet that one. Kansas is on the bench. They're on the bench, but you just have to go off of what I've seen for the last 20 years. Is it all over? Like, is it all done? This just feels like a game Kansas wins 19 out of 20 times that they play. But the play is going to be BYU because Kansas is on the bench, and I swear to God, they can't get a hand up to save their lives on the three-point line. So let's see if BYU can knock down some threes this game. BYU on the money line. Seton Hall with the points. That's way too many points coming off that win against UConn. Trey Coffin ran over the total points. John Tonchi over the total points going up against Illinois. And then lastly, Keyshawn Murphy, 7.5 rebounds. Hopefully we get 6.5, but 7.5 rebounds most likely as the final play of the day. Guys, that's going to do it for the NCAA basketball picks and props for Tuesday, February 18th, slated games. So you guys enjoy the content, please sure drop a like this video and subscribe channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.